And good morning. Welcome to No Apologies, Please. I'm your host, Greg Meriweather, man. It's a great day. We have a great guest lined up. It's been a great week, man. We've had some great shows. We've had some people on with a lot of information, just chopping it up, talking with regular people about a lot of great things that they're doing out in our communities every single day, trying to make this world a better place, which is not an easy thing to do. And so, man, today we got a guy, man. He's been around for a while. I've known the brother for quite some time. We've had some good conversations. We've had some tough conversations. We've had sit downs. We've had middlemen in the middle of us. We've done it all, man. When it's all said and done, this is a brother that I still stay in touch with because he's a good brother. So, man. Without further ado, I'm gonna welcome my brother. He's out on the road, so y'all, he's a busy man, so he's out on the road, so he's coming to us from his car, but he's gonna talk with us this morning. So without further ado, I'm gonna welcome my brother.
Well, bro. Brother Greg, how are you, sir? Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
No doubt. Good to see you too, brother. What you doing, man? You out and about?
Yeah, man. Headed to Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Working. But glad to sit down and talk with you, man. I really appreciate the time, and thanks for thinking about me and the work we do at LISC. I'm excited to see the show and see you growing, man.
Man, listen, you know me. I try to stay busy. Doc, it's crazy because I remember when I stopped doing the Black on Black show. And I think I did Expo, went to Black on Black, then kind of had a brief stint where I was kind of still holding on to it. And got away from it. And I remember two guys we know started doing Standing in the Gap because they were doing it. They was waiting on me to come back. and I said, I'll be back, man. And lo and behold, it's been some years, but then I did, we have the show on TV 40. Sean and I landed on the line. And then I said, you know what? It was crazy how it happened, but God has a way. And I was talking to a couple of guys, and I said, man, I've been kind of sitting at home working on this thing. And I said, if I could get the microphone to work, I'm gonna be live on Monday. And it's been 2 weeks since then. So man, it's a blessing, man. So man,
that's fantastic. So they stood in the gap and stayed in the gap, huh?
They stayed in the gap, man, for real. They put a footprint in that gap, for real. But tell me, man, what's been going on with you?
Man, God has been blessing me, man. Executive director at LISC, and for me, man, and you've known me for a while. To transition out of at least pastoral ministry, and then into politics, and now into philanthropy, for me is a blessing because I pray to God. What do I do after being a pastor? That's not outside of the mission. And for me, even when I was in full-time ministry, I always had a mind for, our community, a heart for really economic empowerment. Mm-hmm. And I pray to God, how can I work in that lane? And how can I, make a difference and make an impact? And so LISC has certainly offered that opportunity to be able to be in a position where, for the most part, our mission nationally and locally is to close the racial wealth gap, specifically to build neighborhoods, Black and brown neighborhoods, that have been disinvested. And we use this term underinvested, but I like to really, if we're going to be honest and authentic, we have to really use the word disinvested, because to say the Black community is being underinvested, well, that's not really true. The reality is we've been disinvested and actually excluded intentionally.
Yes, sir.
So that's what redlining is. Redlining is an exclusion. And so when you exclude an entire group of people, man, and here we are in the 21st century, here we are in 2024, you, myself, and others who are working hard to try to close those gaps, what we're doing is really righting some wrongs, and we're trying to, make right some injustices that have persisted. as a result of systems that have been put in place. You have to use the word disinvested because
Mm-hmm.
underinvested would suggest, well, we put resources there, but maybe they aren't enough. No, you haven't put resources there, and you've kept resources away.
Yeah.
And I think when we approach it from that, perspective, it sobers us a little bit to understand really what we're dealing with. So when it
Yeah.
comes to affordable housing or jobs, and when it comes to mental health, all of these things, we're actually trying to implement programs that have never been, have been non-existent in our community. So
Sure.
that for
Sure.
me is I've come full circle, and I love ministry. Once you never leave ministry. I'm always
That's real.
going to be one of God's prophets, right? I'm
Sure.
always
Sure.
preaching, but you don't always see immediate impact in ministry. You
Yeah.
don't always see immediate impact in politics. When you
You
can do
know.
philanthropy, you can often see immediate impact. That's a blessing to me.
Yeah. Doc, it's interesting that you say that, man, because a lot of times I think we have boxed ministry. We have boxed what it
Right,
means to be a minister because people just
right.
look and they say, if you're not in the pulpit, then you're not ministering per se. Especially, you've
That's
been in
right.
the position of pastor, but people don't realize, man, on real, let's be real quick with this. But if we look at the Great Commission and we looking at going out and going to the people, that's what the commission called for.
Man, you
And when we
preaching. Right.
and so when we look and all of a
You,
sudden we
you're you're
realize
a
that
minister. You're ministering through a podcast. You're ministering through
right,
media. There are many
exactly,
different modes and types of ministry, and you're right. We can't box God in. We can't
man,
box in
can't
what
box God in.
ministry is. I appreciate you
No,
saying
and
that.
so
Yeah.
no doubt, no doubt. So I want to address something really quickly on redlining. So redlining of neighborhoods. One of a number of explicitly racist was used explicitly through the United States federal housing policies in the mid 20th century. Blocked Black households and other communities of color from accessing home mortgages and, as a result, home ownership for decades. The practice has been linked to present day racialized neighborhood poverty and ongoing negative impacts on formerly redlined neighborhoods. So there's a humongous story behind redlining, and we definitely need to be better educated as to what it is. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So y'all got to bear with Doc. He riding through the hills down south. Okay, so we lost him. We'll get him. He'll come back on. So I want to continue with this. So redlining. So when we look, it was one of the things that upset me initially when we start doing the thing with the buses in Indianapolis. If anybody thinks back, they'll understand that the first line was called the red line. I had an issue with that. I had an issue with it because I didn't understand why they would even take such a term and utilize it in our busing system. And when I say busing, I mean Indigo, because it was truly a thing to where a lot of people were left out. If I could find a picture of redlining, I want to show it to you all because it would show how a neighborhood. Oh, here we go. I got a map from the New York Times. I'm going to show you this quick picture of what redlining looked like, because when it was all said and done, man, they did such a tremendous job of leaving us out. Our communities being left out of certain things, certain ways of living, certain production, all these things that we were left out of simply because it was
Right.
we were targeted that way. And so, Doc, so when we talk about LISC, which is the Local Initiative Support Corporation, right, where you're the executive director, kind of give us the gist on,
Can you hear
what
me?
LISC is. Yeah, I can hear
You've
you
had a
fine.
bad connection.
You good? If you're not, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run and show
Can you hear
people.
me? I've
Yes,
lost
sir.
you, Greg.
Okay, you come back on. I'm gonna show people what LISC is all about. I've got a video here, and I want to show you all what it is that LISC does. And then when Doc gets in a better area, we'll definitely chop it up with him when he comes back. So let's check this out, and we'll see what LISC is actually doing. This should be good. So here's what LISC is. Let's look at this.
There's talent all over America. The mission of LISC is to partner with that talent to help it create communities of opportunity in every region of the country.
Biggs, California is a small rural town. It has about 1,700 people. I think homeownership is so important because it provides a sense of permanence and stability. I work for a community housing improvement program known as CHIP. Our mission is to provide affordable housing and housing-related opportunities to low-income households. We also have a homeownership program, which is very unique. The families themselves collaboratively build each other's homes.
We're all building this community together in this little area, and I love everyone that I'm involved with.
I want to be able to stand in front of our home, having my daughters hold the key to our house and just capture that moment of them walking into our home and saying, the hard work paid off and this is ours and it's ours now.
We are so thankful for LISC and their partnership. We've built almost 2,000 homes utilizing the self-help housing program. These families work so hard and they sacrifice so much, and it's really, really amazing to see what they're able to do as a community.
The mission of Native American Connection is to provide housing, healthcare, and community development work. LISC is involved in every single one of our projects. Now we have the Phoenix Indian School Visitor Center. Thousands of people come and visit that site to remember the history, to have a gathering place, to have a cultural community, and to really be the voice of the Native American community. The Patina Wellness Center is a 70-bed residential substance abuse recovery center, and it's a healing place. It's an environment in which we really want to get at the reasons why people continue to struggle with their addiction.
I ended up signing up for their housing program. When they first brought us here, I couldn't believe that they were going to let us live here compared to what we were living in before. They basically changed our whole life because we were all sleeping on one mattress in a living room, just to keep warm and keep everybody comfortable. I'm most thankful for NAC for giving us the chance to start a whole new life.
So when I look at that, man, and I see, let me stop that. So when I look at that and I see just the work, it excites me to see an organization that's involved in a vast array of different things, man. Is just an amazing thing to me. So you give me, I know you're here, or you're in Indy. Give me just the gist of what you guys are doing and how you believe it's impacting the city of Indianapolis.
No, thank you. And I have the exposure because the Indianapolis is one of 38 nationwide. Of course, LISC is a national program headquartered in New York. We've been in Indiana 31 years now, and it's interesting when I meet many people, they've never heard of LISC. They don't know who we are or what we do, and so I appreciate programs like yours that inform the community that we even exist and what we do. Right now in Indianapolis, we have 4 programs that we focus on: social determinants of health, which we deal with food insecurity right now, development, which supports our businesses, minority businesses. We also do housing and development. But the other side is that we also loan. So we're basically a non-bank. So when you hear of a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, we are just actually a nonprofit bank. We're an intermediary, which means we receive money from donors, from funders, whether they are banks, whether they're private, Endowment being one of our biggest private funders, whether they're individuals or public, the partnership and money also from Indianapolis through Section 4, CDBG, federal grants, those things. And that's sort of how we operate. But the thing about LISC, we actually don't do any of this that you just mentioned, show. But what we do is we fund, and we fund development, we fund programming, we fund others actually doing the work. And so it's exciting how we can leverage that money and how we can be strategic, invest in neighborhoods that will really lift the entire community. So for example, if you look at the east side, you look at Marshall High School, or the last term, there's high school anymore. There's no school. It's an education desert. It's also desert because there's no more grocery store there. There's a Walmart. They pulled out. There is no bank. Maybe by now there's a bank. But when you look at the fact that here's the community that's desolate, no grocery store, no bank, no school, right? The elements that make a good neighborhood. You need things for livability and vitality and opportunity. You need jobs and opportunity. So strategically, what we call strategic placemaking. So we neighborhoods like that. We wait. Officials, you got Lakeisha Jackson doing great work. You have other leaders over there. D. Ross is doing great work. So people who are on the ground, we will work with them. Okay, how can we leverage funding and money economically to the neighborhood? What do you need, and how can we leverage? I'll give you another example.
Hey Doc, real quick. If you can log back out and log back in, it's chopping. So if you can log back out, log back in, I'm gonna hold the crowd.
I'm sorry.
Try to reset, and we'll come back.
All right, let me try.
No doubt. All right. Whew. We're back. So this is where we still keep the show rolling, nonetheless. So with LISC, they're a funder. So what happens with LISC is a lot of things, a lot of ideas, a lot of concepts that could go out into our community to make things better can be ran through LISC. Dr. Hampton and his team pretty much work with a lot of different things, concepts, ideas that may take place. So what he was saying was organizations like with D. Ross, for those of you who know who D. Ross, Lakeisha Jackson, who has a program on the far east side as well, they can partner with LISC to better serve the community through funding through LISC. I'll see if he sounds a little better. Let's see. Say something, Doc.
All right. Bad connection. Can you hear me?
It's still choppy.
Can you hear me?
Let's do this, man.
Okay.
Are you're driving all the way?
Let me turn. Is that better with the camera off?
Nah, let me say.
A little bit better connection.
Nah, it's the same. What we can do, Doc, is if you're traveling all the way, we can get you back on. Yeah, he can't even hear me. He can't hear me. So I'm gonna keep going, y'all. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna keep it going. Nonetheless, we're gonna go from LISC. Then I'm gonna keep the show moving. Cool. So with LISC, so a lot of organizations get funding. Why I had Dr. Hampton on is because I want us to understand there are avenues and places that we can go once we have an organization. I was working with Toby Miller and a team at the Sagamore Institute at one time to create the African American Legacy Fund, which was a self-funding organization or self-funding situation where our people can find funding so that we can fund our own initiatives and things like that. So LISC does that and then some. So that was my purpose of having Dr. Hampton on. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna reschedule. We're gonna get Dr. Hampton on again. We're gonna move forward because the show must go on. So here's a topic, man, that I want to discuss. For those of you who are still listening, there's something that I saw on Facebook, and it was Mike Epps, and I found it quite interesting because he was talking about just something that he was going through. And what he was going through was very interesting to me because I've shared in that sentiment. I've shared in being a guy who, if I was off my square, if I must say, then it was all to the good. More people hung, more people pretended that they loved, more people pretended that they liked. But at the same time, if I was doing right by myself, more people were off, more people were jealous, more people hated the whole ordeal. So I want to really show this clip that I saw this morning from my brother in Indianapolis, brother Mike Epps, and I want to chime in on it because I think that more of us need to hear these types of stories, and I'm glad that this story came from him because at the end of the day, more of us experience this than a little bit. So let me see if I can get some sound to this.
Sitting Ice Cube's trailer in the morning and be crying, tears. He like, Mike, wipe your face, man. You a king, nigga. Stop doing this shit to yourself. I'm sitting there wiping myself because I was really, I had survivor's remorse. I was so sad that I left all them niggas here in this city and I was famous. And when I would come home, I wanted them to be happy for me and they was mad at me. So I said, damn, I got to destroy myself for you to like me. I was like, damn, my favorite nigga, it seemed like he liked me more when I'm coming down off coke and I'm crying and I hate myself. He was like, oh man, I love you, nigga. I'm praying for you. But when I wasn't high and I was working out and I looked good, he's like, nigga, you think you better than me. I said, nigga, how is my success a reflection of your failure? And that's what happens to the kids. They around here killing themselves, trying to fit in with somebody who's fucked up.
So when you hear that, I'm going to tell y'all this. This is I've not really spoken on this, but I'm going to talk about it today, and I think this will be a good day for some great healing. Last year, 2023, and I think I may have 2023. I ran for mayor. I was running for mayor for the city of Indianapolis, and I will say that it was the most revealing time of my entire adult life. And the reason it was the most revealing is that I found out who was who and what was what. You know, I listened to Mike Epps in that clip and my heart dropped because I was like, I fully understand exactly what that man was saying. As long as you look like the crowd, as long as if you go along and you do the things that people believe are okay and they act like you're fitting in, it's okay. It's cool. And it's so sad because, you know, I was asking myself, I may have said it publicly to some people. I said, man, it's interesting how accepted Mike Epps is in Indianapolis. And I said, but I don't remember anybody really being on his team when he was coming up. I was like, I don't recall that. I don't recall seeing Mike Epps doing stand-up shows in Indianapolis. I don't recall his name being mentioned on the radio. I don't recall seeing that big push to be like, that's our brother and he's doing the darn thing in Indianapolis. You know, when I look and I see that Babyface is from Indianapolis, he left to be successful. Vivica Fox is from Indianapolis, she left to become successful. Mike Epps is from Indianapolis, he left to become successful. The Jacksons are from Gary, they left to become successful. Denise Williams is from Gary, she left to become successful. And I say, is Indiana the breeding ground of Black hate? And it makes me sick because I look and I see that there's such a big push in this city for mediocre people, and people who are standouts are standalones. People who have the nerve to exude and show their greatness are left by themselves. And it is a sick behavior because you find out that all of a sudden someone who, you know, people say it all the time, man, G reps 317 like nobody I've ever seen, but does 317 rep G? someone who is taken, when you say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and then they say, well, some people ain't got boots, but some people will take a cardboard box and cut it to fit the bottom of their foot and put some holes in it and tie it around their foot so that they can walk on ground. Some people are those people that say, ain't nothing gonna stop me from walking, so therefore I'll create a boot. It may not look like the boot you got, but I'm gonna create something. But instead of being agents of promoting Black excellence, we give out awards for mediocrity. And it's crazy. So back to my story. So I'm running for mayor. And I remember getting phone calls like, what you doing? Why would you do this? I remember one dude thinking it was some money in it. I was like, ain't no money in this, man. You got to figure out how to make money to even run. He's like, what is this, a money grab? I'm like, what are you talking about? And so then I looked out and I realized that, it was time for funding. And I remember how difficult it was to get funds. I remember hearing all the hype and hoopla behind the scenes on, we're going to look out for our brother. But all I heard was criticism, doubt. I heard all the melee behind my back. It all came full circle. And then furthermore, it spilled over into a situation at a local cigar venue. And the crazy thing about it is, it all was stimulated over a brother who was he was constantly on me. Why ain't you doing this? Why ain't you doing this? Why ain't you doing this? We over here, we got this money for you. Never came to pass. And then once all those things that they were telling me I need to do were in a row, and I went and I said, I got it all done. What's up? Then it turned into, Negro, you mad because you ain't got the money, or Negro, we ain't giving you the money type stuff. And it turned into a whole ordeal, bad situation. I'll discuss it one day. But what I learned, it was people who said they were my friend. It was people who said that they loved me. It was people who said that I got your back. And I realized that they didn't. I realized that I realized not only that, I remember telling some people that I deemed close to me, I said, man, for years I've been walking into places where people are that don't love me. And I remember Brother David Banner saying, stop walking in places where people don't love you. Stop walking in places where people don't promote you, support you, adore you, exalt, lift you up. Stop going in those places. And I kept going in those places and being around people who did not care if I ate, who didn't care if I swam or if I drowned. And I was there with them every step of the way. When it came down to it, those were the people that that hated the most. Hated the most. And it changed my life. I'm gonna tell you, it changed my life because I stopped going to those places. And when people look and they say, and it's a sad situation when you're a person who cares as much as I care about Black people. Anybody that knows that, I thought it was a long shot at the beginning. I was like, man, I'm gonna run. And the reason I'm running is because I know I'll get out the information that the two white candidates will never say. They'll never speak on the things that I knew were going on for Black people in the city of Indianapolis. But I said, I'll go ahead and run. And I did. I ended up dropping, but I went out there and I said stuff that wasn't said. I said something about the potholes. I said that they were using the cold mix. And if y'all remember, they changed it. And they even changed it this year and started using hot mix earlier. I just talked to one of my brothers. They using hot mix now more than ever, simply because when I ran. But I'm going to say something, man. This mind in this skin with no support, it's a sick thing. It's a sick thing because now this brother comes back to this town. He's a guy who's went from the hood to Hollywood. Now that's y'all brother. Now that's y'all's guy. Now that's y'all, he's repping the hood. Nah, because if I was him, I'd be like, I'm repping me. He's giving y'all grace. He's giving Indianapolis extreme levels of grace because Indianapolis didn't do a damn thing to help him get where he is. It should not be a black anchor. This should not be the place that holds black talent back. And, well, for the life of me, stop giving awards to people you know don't deserve it. Stop having fake award ceremonies. You look up and all of a sudden, you can't take that false talent nowhere else. Nowhere. The people we award can't go nowhere else. It's like they're the kings and queens in the lands of misfit toys. I wrote a book, and then somebody reached out to me and they said, "Man, I thought that was going to be the one. Like, you know, I just knew that book, like, that's going to take that dude because the book is tremendous." And it's crazy because people in other places are like, "Dude, this is a nice book." But you wonder why I don't stop. I said this on the show, I believe. Maybe I said it on Katina's show. But I think I said it to my mom. I think I said it to my mom this week. I said, I've become the king of cutting my own door. I said, my father, to me, had an extreme sense of jealousy. And I can't knock how he grew up. My father grew up one of 12, but I can't knock how he grew up. And it's possible to have that sense of jealousy because you're one of 12 with two parents in a one-bedroom shack. So jealousy and envy could be easily built in that situation. But nonetheless, I remember telling my mother, I said, I cut doors. I constantly cut doors. I said, I'm not a person that just takes no. If you tell me I can't go over there, I'm gonna figure out how to create there right here. If you tell me that if Dion Livingston at WTLC or Radio 1 tells me that I can't go on his radio network, then I say I create my own. If you say my name can't be mentioned on Fox 59, 6, 8, 13, or 4, then I say I'll make sure my name is mentioned internationally because I'll create my own thing, use my own camera, get my own mic and my own system to be able to share my own voice with the people I want to share it with. But we live in a town that minimizes it. We live in a town that doesn't support. People ask me all the time, how do I support? I said, share my voice. I sit and do these shows. I don't have a teleprompter. I've done TV for years and they never read nothing. I've done radio for years and they never read nothing. This is my God space. This is where I could come with nothing. And he's given me enough in my head to be able to give something to people. And Mike Epps should not have had to, let's say this. Thank God. Because he ended up having a revelation. It ended up dawning on him that they would rather see me fail. They're happy in my misery. They're not happy when I'm happy. They would rather see me drug-induced, drug-infested, high, but low. People would rather see me highly intoxicated than clear mind. I remember watching one of the last interviews of Nipsey Hussle, and he said, I stopped getting high. And they said, what? He said, yeah, I stopped getting high. He said, why? They said, why? He said, because I realized that people get over on me when I'm high. He said, I realized that people think I'm slow when I'm high. But most of the people adore your highness because of their lowness. They want you to be high so you could get off that frequency. diminish yourself all the way down to where they are. And the crazy thing about it, here's the sick part. Behind his back, they're going to talk about his habit, but always want to see him that way. Behind his back, they're going to talk about him being a person that was on drugs. They're going to talk about him, but that's how they want to see him. That's how they want to keep him. Check your frequency, people. Look around you. Look around you. And if you don't have a group of people around you that will push you to your greatness, check your circle. Check your circle. First, check yourself. Because at some point, you're going to need a level of self-awareness. A level of self-awareness to identify that people are not in your camp. People can have a party all day right now. All day. You can have a party all day right now with a gang of people in the city, and 9 times out of 10, I'm not showing up. Why? Same stuff. Same people doing the same things. And when you're committed to being something different, you're going to have to learn to stand alone. Because, quite frankly, that's why there's not a lot of us. That's why there are not a lot of Black people who operate in an individual sphere. And what I mean by that, there are not a lot of Black people who elevate themselves beyond the norm. Our kids are killing themselves. They're trying to fit. They're trying to fit in. They're trying to be accepted. And the bad thing right now is being accepted is being in the streets, being thugs, getting high. It's kids getting high that I never thought would use a drug. Like, because getting gas is the thing. Ryan Mears was on our show and he said most of these kids that are catching these murder cases and gun cases, it's their first offense. He's saying they don't even have a traffic ticket. And instead of us looking and saying, well, what the hell's happening? We can't see the forest from the trees because we're so much like them. We're so much like them that we can't look and say, you know what? Be yourself, son. Be yourself, daughter. It's okay. You ain't got to fit in with nobody. But the adults is trying to fit in. It's the adults now that look like everybody else. It's a book called A Penguin. It's called A Peacock in the Land of Penguins. If you look at everybody's feet look the same. Everybody got to wear the J's. No one there. It's a multitude of different kinds of sneakers, different colors, different schemes, different all sorts. But everybody got to look the same. Why? No one wants to stand out. When you think about just hip hop and how all of a sudden it was this thing that said biting rhymes, biting sounds, that means you was taking. You couldn't sound like nobody else back in the day. You couldn't be an MC and they said, nah, dog, we can't even put him on. He sound like Rakim. Nah, bro, we ain't fooling with that, man. He sound like KRS, man. We ain't fooling with that. He sound like Cool G. But all of a sudden, everybody now sounds alike. And I'm looking at Bishop Kim on here, and I'm gonna tell you something, Bishop Kim. It's something when we take what God has given us, and all of a sudden we put it in a box of human flesh. And all of a sudden, in order to be, we believe that we're utilizing our God sense and giving God the glory to do God's thing by looking like everybody else. God ain't made no clones. Even twins are different in some sense. Even twins are different in some sense of their mind. They may do a lot that's similar, but I guarantee you there's something different. And instead of us embracing people for who they are and loving them for their difference, we hate them for it. And that's not who we should be. We should be agents of differences. And I don't know, just thinking on history, prejudice and racism are two things that when I look at, it's like we've taken on those behaviors. How are we people who were simply hated because of the color of our skin now people who hate people who have the same skin color because they have something else different? It makes absolutely no sense. We have taken on a cannibalistic mindset with cannibalistic behaviors of devouring each other to a degree to where nothing is being able to grow simply because we want everything to come from the same thing or do it the same way. Dr. Hampton and I, at the beginning of this conversation, before the system is he's traveling, went bad. I said, man, ministry just ain't always in the pulpit. This is ministry. He said it. This is ministry. Because somebody's feeding you through a media platform. I remember before COVID, I was doing a show called Words from the Well. And it was a preacher who hated it more than anybody and was like, you ain't got no congregation or you ain't no pastor. And it was right before COVID hit. And it's amazing that God has a way of showing you was on the right path, because he was like, you was given this on here when you didn't even have to. Now everybody got to do it. And I'm telling children and adults, dare to be different. You ain't going to get the support. You're not going to get the support. It's not going to come by the way you think it's going to come. Mike Epps just proved that. It's not going to come that way. At some point, you have to be okay with that, though. I miss Words from the Well meme. My sister, it's this. I'm going to tell y'all. When you commit yourself to just doing, it's like it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter. Once you make that commitment to do it, you do it. And I want people to be better agents of their talents. And I say this all the time, and I've said this for myself, and people know this who know me. A brother called me and he said, man, I want to be an actor, G. And I said, you know what? I said, people don't look at themselves as plants. I'll say this again. People don't look at themselves as plants. As if God didn't create you like he created the tree, like he created the grass, we don't look at ourselves as like a tree or something that's been planted. And I said, in order for you to grow, you need to be in the right soil, in the right element, in the right places where you can be watered, where you can grow, where you can get rooted. Because that's what happened to those individuals. When we think about it, Kevin Lee, Coach K, okay, they just sold QC, him and P just sold QC, Quality Control Music. They just sold that for $300 million. But he left NAP. I don't remember people talking about Kevin Lee, this, that, and the other when he was in NAP. I knew him as an athlete. I heard his name from that perspective, but I never heard his name from a music perspective. I never heard nobody boasting and bragging on him when he was just coming up. But now you're everybody guy. I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to keep plugging. Don't listen. One of the hardest things to catch is a moving train. I repeat, one of the hardest things to catch is a moving train. So either you're on board or you're not. And I think that a lot of people missed the mark because they're too busy hating. Too busy hating, and a lot of people are destroying themselves physically, mentally, financially, in attempt to fit in with the rest. How does that work in our community, y'all? We have dropped the ball on Black excellence. We should want articulate, well-dressed, well-groomed Black men who stand up for their community. We should want the same for our sisters. We should want sisters who can exude beauty while being covered up. We should want sisters who know how to carry themselves in a manner that says she's as gorgeous can be. She ain't gotta be naked. She ain't gotta be on the scene. She ain't gotta be in every man's face. We should adore that. What happened? Why? Because there's a system that feeds it. Because now everything that we listen to and watch is to damage us. When we have media like this that can feed your spirit, that can feed your mind, that can feed your community, to help you feed this world, to make it better. And instead of sharing it out of sheer fear of what anyone is going to say about you liking what I say, you're scared. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it and speak it into existence. Be scared when I'm on CNN, or be scared when this network blows up. Act like you act the same energy. Have that energy, because I'm gonna work it till it's over. But have that same energy, because like I said, Mike gives grace, K gives grace, Coach K gives grace, Vivica gives grace. And for lack of better examples, Jason Whitlock is from Indianapolis. He ain't here either. When you think about the talent pool of people who have come from this city, who left, and don't really come back. Because I said it. I said, man, if I could figure out how to be fluid, heck yeah. I do the same thing Mike Epps do. I give me a crib in Indianapolis. When I'm in Indianapolis, I ain't got to go to no hotel. I ain't got to stay with nobody. I go to my house. I chill. I kick it. I see my people. Those who know me can come through. But on my regular, nah. Ain't no way I'm gonna be in the place that didn't. Ain't no way I'm gonna be in the place that didn't exalt me. No way. Because we got to do better. Anybody that agrees, say amen. I tell you, man, it's all about the support. It is all about the support. You can't just watch a person. At some point, we have to be better agents of investing. And, you know, and honestly, man, it's crazy because I did not expect to have this conversation today because I had a guest. But it's like when God blesses you with a message, and that was one of the first messages that I saw this morning of Mike Epps talking about how he was getting high and crying. And people was okay with it. And it's crazy that he said it because I remember how people would talk about his habits in the streets. But when he came, hey, when he get in the city, hey, that's my guy. Hey, Mike Epps is in the city. That's my guy. Which I was happy seeing him high, being destructive, about to blow all his riches just so he could be in the cahoots of people who didn't do anything for him to attain it. Sick. Boy, I tell you, man, the more I think about it, the more I want to shout, simply because it's like, I'm so glad I was able to receive that message from that brother this morning. He don't even know how many people he blessed with that level of transparency. And even on more on the show on All the Smoke, he talked about his inability to know how to treat a woman, one woman. And as a person, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna be honest with you. Going through a lot of pain, I've been through a lot of pain, you know, with in relationship. And I don't know if I lost a level of trust in women, but I know that at some stage I did. And I don't know if it came through because of my mom's relationship with my dad and the fact that my mom stayed with my dad throughout abuse. I have no idea if it's that. I just know that I have been in relationships that have not been good. And for me, it's like I've always had to, it's always like I felt I had to govern myself to give a certain percentage, because I was like, I'm not giving nobody no more all of me simply because of the pain that I felt when I gave all of myself. And in some cases, it may have made me jump out to become a womanizer at some point, simply because I said, you know what, I know if I'm gonna give you 50, then you ain't gonna give me nothing. And I know if I ain't giving you full effort, then you're gonna find somebody else. And it was almost like I would wait on people to find someone else so that I could have the excuse of being that. And I would say, yes, she's finally, it feels, yes, this is comfortable. I want you to be able to cheat on me so that I can continue being him. And when I tell you, man, transparency and being able to find yourself and being able to know your truth and being able to fix it and walk out into this world, ain't nothing better than it. Self-examination, self-reflection, being able to look at yourself and say, man, I'm hurting. And twofold, I'm hurting inside and I'm hurting outside. And when you're able to look and fix that, man, please, sky's the limit. But the limit ain't the sky, okay? I'm trying to tell y'all, man, today, you know, I'm thankful, man. We're gonna get Dr. Hampton back on here as soon as possible. And we're gonna have a great conversation with him, man. But I'm gonna tell y'all, man, I absolutely am thrilled. Even with the mistake of today, I'm absolutely thrilled because I was able to share. And I, you know, and people may not even, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna figure out how to I'm gonna get a clip of this, and I'm gonna chop it up in some clips, because I know the beginning of the show was challenging, so I'm gonna figure out how to get that out there so that we can. Thank you, sister. Thank you. I appreciate everybody on here who's supporting this initiative. So, man, let's get to it, man. We're gonna do the verse of the day, and the verse of the day comes from Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Have I not commanded you?" Man, this is amazing. Ooh, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Oh, I'm going to let that sit. I didn't even know that was the verse of the day. I just picked it up. And I love the fact that it says, have I not commanded you? It's like, no, this ain't an option. I command you. When God tells you, have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? There's nothing out here greater than he. Nothing. There's no reason for you to ever minimize anything about you. Nothing. If your talent makes them uncomfortable, so what? If your voice makes them uncomfortable, so what? If you being at your best makes people afraid of you, so what? Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, because discouragement comes when you're not accepted. When rejection constantly comes over and over and over. You can't walk in this door. You can't be in this room. We don't want you in this house. We don't want you in this club. We don't want you over here. All of a sudden, you become discouraged. Black men know this when I say it. People tell us no on a regular basis, but I'm telling you today, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged, because what they see, they know. Nobody can take no like that, but they see you still standing. Sisters, be strong. Don't be discouraged. No one knows what it takes for us to get to where we are. When you show up, they don't know what the journey was. They just know that you're there. And there's no reason for when you get there to be discouraged. There's no reason for you to not be courageous. There's no reason for you not to be strong. Let every bit of that exude your existence. Let it come out. If they can't take it, so be it. It says, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Man, listen. One of the funniest things black people do is this. We could be out in the clubs and the bars and wherever we are. And the conversation, let me tell you how funny acting y'all are. And the conversation will come up about God. And people will look around and they say, don't talk about God. Well, I don't do that. I don't talk about God when we in here. And you know what I tell them? I said, if somebody shot up the whole place and the bullet didn't hit you, you gonna say, had it not been for the Lord on my side. And then we the same people that say, we don't talk about God when he's in here. And I said, do you believe in God? Yes. Do you believe he's all thing? Yes. Do you believe he's all knowing? Yes. Do you believe he's everywhere? Yes. Then why do you not think he's here? Help me understand. If you believe he's your all in all and he's everywhere, then he's everywhere. There's no denying that. And if he's everywhere, then it's okay to talk about him. Because I'm loving the God who never leaves nor forsakes. I'm with the God who's forever a present help. So I don't believe he's never with me. That's why I operate with this level of courage, because I believe he's here. I hope you believe it too. This has been y'all's brother, man. I've enjoyed it. Listen, man, shout out to my brother, David Hampton, who is traveling, Dr. David Hampton, who is traveling. I know we had some technical difficulties in his traveling, but I assure you, when he gets himself stable and gets in an office or a setting to where we can have this interview, we will gladly have that brother back so he can tell us more about LISC. This has been y'all's brother, man. I've enjoyed it. Have an amazing Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Be wise, be careful, but also be yourself. Have a great one. Peace.